Hey there, my name is Pravus. Welcome to more Europa Universalis 4. A new DLC was added into the game a few weeks ago. Yeah, admittedly, I'm a little bit late on the train on this one. It's called Domination, and you'd think that this is the sort of thing where I just drop everything I'm doing and play a Domination because it's just, I mean, look at the name of the title of that DLC. It suits me perfectly, and it does add a lot of really awesome features. It reworks a lot of the great powers of the world, including the Ottomans, France, Spain, England, China, Japan, lots of really cool stuff. However, I had a baby that was due pretty soon, and I figured I don't want to start a campaign of EU4 then take a month-long break. It just wouldn't make a lot of sense. But the result is I'm coming into this a bit late, and a lot of other YouTubers have already covered all the new content. Oh well. However, what this does mean is I have an opportunity to do a campaign in EU4 that I've wanted to do for a very long time. We've talked about this on the channel before. I'm going to go ahead and play as Austria, because I think that these guys are probably one of the most fun nations in the game, and obviously have the potential to become unbelievably powerful in the right hands. In fact, it's not too hard to play with Austria and go for a world conquest and even a one culture and one faith build. Not to mention there are some fun achievements associated with all of this. So we're going to be playing as Austria today. Now the achievement specifically that I'm going for is called AEIOU, and sometimes Y. Doesn't actually say that, but you get the idea. It's basically the Austrian equivalent of Anglophile, which is, you know, what England has as an achievement. Finish out the nation's entire mission tree. Austria does have a very juicy mission tree, so following that and finishing it out is going to be pretty darn fun. And here we go. Now, Austria does start off in a very interesting position. Obviously, we are the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. And that's a bit of a double-edged sword because, yeah, I do have to protect the entirety of Germany and northern Italy from outside threats. But if done correctly, we will be able to build up that imperial authority and revoke the privilegia, which will turn every member of the HRE into my own personal vassal swarm, with which I can conquer the entire world, and I'm not even kidding. It's that stinking strong. Not to mention the Austrians are led by the von Habsburgs, who are very good at this whole diplomatic thing and putting their family on the thrones of other countries. And in fact, that's one of the first things we want to do. We want to take over Bohemia and force it into a personal union. With any luck, I will also be getting Hungary and a personal union for free very soon, but if I do not, then I will conquer it instead and get it that away. We'll also be able to take Croatia, and that'll eventually get integrated into Hungary. With any luck, we can also pick up Milan and Burgundy, and through the missions, we should be able to pick up Poland and maybe Poland with Lithuania if they chose the right options as far as the Jagiellons. So we'll end up taking over the entirety of Germany and most of Eastern Europe, and also Burgundy and Milan in personal unions. And we'll be in a very good position to take over, let's say, Castile, Aragon, and Naples into a personal union. Sometimes maybe something like England, if you're lucky. So there's a lot of really good options to scale up and take over all of Europe very, very quickly. And the crazy thing is, by about 1520, 1530, you can have accomplished almost all of that. Taking over Poland, Lithuania, Hungary, Bohemia, maybe Milan and Burgundy, get that Burgundian inheritance, and revoke the privilegia, all around there. It's insanely good if you play it correctly. Now, Austria is one of those nations where people have gotten it down to a science because it is such a popular country, so I'm probably going to make some mistakes and not follow that perfectly, but I do have a good sense of direction for what I want to do. First things first, to take a look at Burgundy. Okay, so Burgundy is willing to ally me. That is one of the first things that I care about because I want to make sure that we have a good chance at getting the Burgundian inheritance. So I'm going to go ahead and ally these guys immediately. The other thing I want to do is start focusing on getting relations up with my electors. I'm thinking people like Brandenburg and Saxony, Trier, Cologne, Mainz, and the Palatinate, all of which are going to be good. Bohemia is also an elector, but since we're going to war against them early on, we don't care. Why do I want to get alliances and high relations with my electors? Because one of the first missions available to Austria is called Secure the Electors. Get that, and we will have a restoration of Union Casus Belli to use against Bohemia. Within the first 4 or 5 months of the game, we should be able to go to war and take over Bohemia, Glasgow, and Opole, all under a personal union with me, which obviously is a huge power spike. So we need to do that. Let's take a look at our rivals. Looks like we're rivaled by Denmark, the Ottomans, and Provence. Provence, really, that's an interesting choice there. Okay, well, I'm not really worried about them. I'm definitely going to rival Bohemia at the beginning of the game because we will get a lot of power projection if I do force them into a personal union. I think it would make sense to go ahead and rival the Ottomans and probably Venice as well, to be honest. Yeah, because we're definitely going to be fighting Venice quite often at the beginning of the game, so I think that does make some sense. Okay, so let's take care of all that. Let's go to our advisors. A national tax modifier guy is okay. We do have a level 2 guy who only costs 2 per month. That's interesting. That's cheaper than usual, right? That's like half cost. Okay, if that's the case, then getting an improved relations guy who's cheap is actually very good for Austria, so let's pick that up. And I cannot yet afford a discipline advisor, but getting a level 1 discipline advisor is fan-flippantastic. Let's go to my estates. I'm going to go ahead and add some privileges. We have 30% crown land, which means we can actually go for the monthly administrative power, the military power, and the diplo power immediately. We've lost all of our crown land, but we will start clawing that back. Going back to the clergy, I think I'll take the Clerical Advisory Board, which does make my advisors cheaper, but increases my stability cost. That hurts, but it's okay. And I will also take the Religious Diplomats, which increases relations with all other Catholics. Very helpful at a time when we are trying to build up relations so I can get my electors to like me, right? For the nobility, let's go for the increased levy and the aristocratic counselors. So that's less taxes, but more manpower, cheaper military advisors. We probably are going to want something like the right of counsel at some point. Or maybe it's the supremacy over the crown. I don't think it really matters that much right now. I'm not worried about it this second, though. So let's just stick with what we've got there. And then for the burghers, I'm going to go ahead and pick up Patronage of the Arts, losing taxes in favor of Prestige. We're going to take the Commercial Advisory Board. And then we're going to go ahead and take Indebted to the Burghers, which is going to take out 5 loans, but only at 1% interest, which is enough money to then fund the rest of these advisors, which we will do. And we can start hiring more troops, because I'm going to need that. We can hire some soldiers. What do we have for our current army? We've got 5 cavalry, and we've got 13 infantry. I think what we want is, 16 infantry or something along those lines? And 4 cavalry. Pretty sure that's the optimal start. Yeah, because that gets you up to 20 full combat width, which is the maximum at the beginning of the game, and there is, of course, not going to be any cannons and stuff, and we don't really care about the back line. So let's go ahead and get rid of 1 of these cavalry and start training up 3 more infantry so that we can get ourselves up to that full 20 combat width. Then we'll also want to get ourselves some mercenaries. We can get ourselves the Independent Company, the Grand Company, and the Free Company, which is a pretty decent number of infantry that we can work with to then take on Bohemia. Now, I usually would not bother with mercenaries, but I recently was getting convinced that it's actually worthwhile because there comes a sweet tipping point at some point in your technology where it's actually cheaper to have a lot of mercenaries pulling from their own manpower pool than to hire your own standing army. So I'm now more convinced that if you have the cash, it's worth picking these up, and thanks to those loans from the burghers, that's something I can now do. Anyway, let's go ahead and get ourselves some more allies with the electors. We're going to start with Brandenburg, since they are the strongest. They do usually rival Saxony, which is a little unfortunate, but we can ally these guys as well. We could ally, who else we got here? Trier doesn't like Mainz, but that's it. Cologne doesn't seem to care about any of the other electors. That's convenient, and the Palatinates doesn't like Mainz. So Mainz is probably the one ally I'm not going to pick up amongst the electors because it's going to reduce my opinion with too many other folks. So I'm going to pick up Brandenburg, Saxony, maybe temporarily, the Palatinate, Trier, and Cologne. That's my goal. Okay, and now we are allied to 5 of the electors, which is going to get me a pretty decent relations boost with a lot of these folks. So now we need to figure out how else we can eke out a bit of extra opinion. Obviously, improving relations is one option. I don't really want to send gifts. We could bestow Imperial Grace at the cost of some of my Imperial Authority, and this would allow me to start building up those relations very quickly. I do like that. Obviously, losing Imperial Authority sucks, but I'm okay with that. We could also proclaim some guarantees, or we could do some scornful insults on their rivals. For example, the Teutons. Do a scornful insult, and that would get me some opinion with Brandenburg. That kind of a thing works. I'm going to do that against Mainz, since I know that 2 of my electors like that, so we'll do a scornful insult, and that makes the Palatinate and Trier very happy with me. Boom. And that actually was enough to get me the extra 25 opinion I need with Trier, and now they're above 100. Nice. I'm going to go ahead and hire those mercenary companies immediately, by the way. Let's get, honestly, I think all of them. Grand Company, Free Company, blah, blah, blah. By the way, has Bohemia allied anyone of importance? They have allied Anhalt and Goslar. Tiny nations don't matter. If they ally someone big, like Poland, which they never will, but if they did, you'd be in trouble. If they ally one of your electors, that gets annoying. One province minors? Don't even care. That's fine. That's optimal. By the way, on the topic of the estates, let's now go ahead and summon a diet over here that gets me a little bit of loyalty. As long as you're above 50%, that's what matters. Make the Pope like me, that's fine. Manpower, this would be good, except that I'm going to go to war, so it's not going to last. And then Get production in someplace. Hold on, what's this over here? Your trade good is iron. That's good, but I want to save up my Diplo power to work on getting the gold mine up, so we're not going to worry about that. We will make the Pope like me eventually. Let's go ahead and pick that one up. Then I'm going to go ahead and seize some land just to get a little bit of that crown land back, and we're actually going to go ahead and swap over to a diplomatic focus right away, because I am going to be needing a lot of Diplo power with all the diplomatic relations we're going to have, not to mention I will be going for diplomatic ideas very early on. So I just think that that's going to work out nicely for me. But now, unfortunately, we have to wait a little bit while we get our diplomats back, because you have to wait a month after sending something here. So you really can't get this all done necessarily within 1 month. You can get all the allies, but you can't get 100 opinion right away. That's fine, though. It takes me a second to go ahead and start mustering all of the troops. By the way, I do want to get a general if possible. We can wait 2 months. By then, I should have the 100 opinions I need. So yeah, and we'll have morale in all of our troops. That's great. With my diplomats sitting around doing nothing, let's go ahead and issue some embargoes against people I don't like. For example, Venice, and also the Ottomans. The Palatinate wants a royal marriage. That's honestly fine as long as they don't ally anybody I plan on attacking, like Bohemia, so that's good. Brandenburg, I'd actually like you to make the offer to me because that's a great way of boosting up some free opinion. Just saying. There it is, royal marriage with Brandenburg. We'll take that. Saxony, I guess I can do this. Yeah, there's a good chance I break my relationship off with Saxony at some point, but I guess for now that's fine. Brings them up, so we're at 90 and 85 over there. So I just need to get Cologne, Saxony, and Brandenburg up. That's it. I can send a scornful insult over here to Aachen. That is going to get Cologne or Köln or Köln, however you say that, up there. I don't know. I was there last summer in Cologne. I don't remember exactly how they pronounce it properly in German, but there you go. And that leaves only these two remaining. Okay. That case, Volgasts, we'll go ahead and do that. A scornful insult with you. And finally, I guess Munich. I'm sacking a lot of prestige by doing this. I know that, but I should now have all the electors, and it's only been like 1 month. 1 month, that's it. Boom, all right, I got that down. So the result is now we have the restoration of the Union to use against Bohemia right away. And we have extra prestige and diplomatic reputation for the next 15 years. Always very, very nice. Now, we can declare the war against Bohemia immediately, and honestly, wouldn't even be that bad. I could even promise Saxony some land, though, truth be told, I probably won't give them anything, and they're going to get very mad, which is the main reason I was very hesitant to do the royal marriage in the first place, but if they break off with me, oh well, whatever. We're going to be over a relationship slot anyway. I'd rather just go ahead and have overwhelming numbers. They can bring in Thuringia, and we should be able to take down Bohemia. I'm fighting against a much, much smaller force. Not a big deal. I have very low morale, which is the main danger of me sending this in right now, so I might wait just a little bit, but I do think we just want to go for it, right? Yeah, you know what? Let's just go for it. We're going to go ahead and do the restoration of the Union. Go, go, go! And in the meantime, with my extra diplomats, let's just go ahead and start improving with some allies and stuff, get them nice and high. Oh, and let's not forget that with Burgundy, I do want to send them a royal marriage offer as well. We really want to try to get that Burgundian inheritance. It may work, it may not. The mechanics have always been a little bit elusive to me, but I'm pretty sure that basically never accept a royal marriage from them. You send it instead. We want Charles to ascend to the throne and then die to create the succession crisis. And as long as we're allied to them, we've got that royal marriage, good chance they go with me instead of France. I get them in a personal union, they inherit all the lowlands, which is great for the HRE because it means everyone's now a member of the HRE, so I'm not losing imperial authority. We can integrate all of that later, and I'll be in a prime position to fight France and force them to release a lot of small nations, which I will then add into the HRE, making me even stronger. Could also start spying on Venice, which, yeah, it's an option for us. If we spy on Venice, we can try getting a war goal to go against them at some point early if we find an opportunity. Really depends. I wouldn't mind taking Istria for myself just for that natural harbor so I can start collecting here in the trade node, which, speaking of which, where are my traders right now? They're pushing as much into the Vienna trade node as possible, which is probably the right call for now. Having extra power here would be nice. The alternative is, though, you also can release as many nations from Venice as possible, because what's going to end up happening once you get to this state right here, absolute Reichsstabilitat, however you say that, will gain a casus belli on all non-membering members of, neighbors of the HRE, and we can force them to join. And the more the merrier, because that's how I get a lot of extra imperial authority. So every one province minor we release just means I can try to get that centralized HRE a little bit faster. Okay, so it looks like, yep, Poland did go for the Jagiellon. Good. It would have been really sucky if they hadn't. So once we go down the missions over here on the left, we will eventually have missions once we get Bohemia to start beating the snot out of Poland. And if we do that and recover Silesia and Galicia, we'll be able to eventually get a restoration of the Union on them. And by taking a personal union over Poland, we also will get Lithuania. And if they have, let's say, Danzig or Moldavia under their unionship as well, we get all of that too. So, like, it's good when Poland takes Lithuania. Yes, it's a harder fight eventually, you know, when we first take them on. But long term, it means I get almost all of Eastern Europe. Not a huge deal if they don't, though. If they don't take Lithuania, we'll just get Poland, and then we can do exactly what I was talking about with France and Venice. Just release lots of members of Lithuania and start adding more people to the HRE, and that's perfectly valid too. Okay, so I'm making my ruler into a leader, and this is always risky because there's an increased odds of them dying. However, 2 siege value is just so good. Okay, we're gonna start heading in toward the capital of Prague, and we'll go for that. Do not do the royal marriage with Bohemia. We're not doing that. We're gonna get in here and start the siege. I'll siphon out some of the mercenaries later, so my own personal manpower pool is not being murdered. That's fine, though. I just want to get this started. And as far as the way things are currently looking, yeah, with Saxony on my side, we have overwhelming numbers to use against Bohemia and their allies. And also, I'm pretty sure that Saxony and Thuringia are going to get beaten down by Bohemia while I have free run to just go ahead and siege them. So, like, who cares? It's fine. And even then, it's convenient. They just allied 2 people who are neighbors to Saxony and Thuringia. I can just walk in here and siege these suckers down. I don't even have to worry about getting, like, a long path all the way over to the other side of the HRE. So, yeah, this is as convenient of a start as it gets. This is very good so far. Well, you know, I say that, and they're about to jump on my mercenaries and start crushing them. I'm trickling some more units in. I'm not sure if it's going to be fast enough. We are starting to win this. There we go. Okay, if we had lost all those mercenaries there, that actually would have been a disaster, but we were able to save that. We're fine. Let's go ahead and start siphoning these troops out. And again, mercenaries pull from their own manpower pool, so, like, who cares? And we're going to start working on a siege over here as well in Olumir. However you pronounce that, I have no idea. But if we can take down Prague and this fort as well, that means Bohemia is in a really good spot to fall. Oh, and I want to see if I can get one more general. Let's roll someone. Okay, you know what? 133 is not the worst thing I've ever seen. I'll take that. That's pretty good. We'll send that royal marriage over here to Burgundy. Don't want to forget that that is a thing. Burgundy's another nation I want to play at some point, to be honest. Though right now, with the latest release of the Domination expansion, there's a lot of good nations to play. I really think it would be fun to play Aragon at some point. They're a really powerful nation. They're honestly one of the best nations to form the Roman Empire. But also, with the new secret peasant republic government route you can go with these guys, that's pretty awesome. The Ottomans, yeah, they got reworked a lot, and they've got some pretty new mechanics, I think called ayalets, or however you pronounce that, which apparently there's an achievement in the game now to, I think it's conquer the entirety of the Roman Empire by 1500 or something like that, which sounds absolutely insane, but they wouldn't add it into the game if it weren't possible. I'm going to be really careful with my troops right now, by the way. I can't afford to lose too much, so I'm going to keep these guys nice and close. Let Saxony and Thuringia take all the losses. I don't even care. That's fine. Just gonna patiently sit here at speed 4 for a little bit, waiting for these forts to fall. The extra siege pips are very helpful for obvious reasons. Okay, we actually got both sieges at the same time. Well, that is just downright convenient. All right, let's get these troops together and start smashing these guys. Yeah, the capital of Thuringia fell. Not a huge deal if I can either smash... The thing is, I don't want to hurt the Bohemian army too much, because once they're in a personal union with me, they're going to work for me, and I want them to keep their troops. That said, we can't let them keep taking forts, or it's going to throw things off. I need to get to, I think it's 60% war score. That is ultimately what I'm shooting for. Let's take all these troops and go and fight over here in Glasgow, which is defensive terrain, so I'll be able to use that a little bit. Looks like France and England are at war with each other. That's good. You always love to see it. We're going to try pulling in some reinforcements here, but that didn't work so well. We have a diplomatic incident against Burgundy. Really, I don't want that. Let's go ahead and ease the tensions and make everyone around me like me more. That's actually a really, really helpful thing to get, especially when you're about to pick up a lot of aggressive expansion. Honestly, at this point, if we just siege down any of the minor nations in this war, or unsiege Weimar over here, we probably would be able to win right now. But I also think if we just siege down Glasgow and a couple of these other small little provinces here and there, we're going to be fine. I do want to take Cheb for myself, believe it or not, instead of leaving it with Bohemia, mainly because it's a gold mine. And gold is great. I like making lots of money. I find that I scale very nicely when I have lots and lots of money. And there's the siege of Glasgow, and we full siege all of this stuff, and there's only one little province left. I'm gonna be greedy just for some money, and boom. 76% war score should be all that I need. Let's see if I can now force the Union. There it is. And there is a coalition, but it's only Bohemia, so who cares? And I might just go ahead and take Cheb for myself. Can take some cash as well. What's the hotkey nowadays to take as much as I'm able to? Shift left mouse. 131.4. Okay, fine. So that's it. I didn't even have to fight Bohemia. They didn't lose any of their troops. If I had a diplomat, whoops, we would be able to just go ahead and end this right now. As it is April 30th, 1446, we just seized Bohemia. Boom, boom, bada, bada, boom. Thank you. Let's go ahead and take Egger, make that into a core. I know that I'm going to want that. We now have a couple of missions we can do. Control Bohemia is going for the next 15 years give me extra legitimacy as well as some imperial authority growth, which is great, but also we get the permanent claims on the Silesia area, which is kind of nice. That would lead to recover Silesia, which means we need to, well, own all this stuff, which basically once Bohemia naturally integrates these, should automatically happen. Then we have Imperial Ascendancy, and this is something we can do for the next 20 years for diplomatic annexation and land force limit. I don't feel like we need to do this right now, because when I start annexing someone, obviously this saves me a lot of diplo power. We can also do the decline of Hungary now for that Casus Belli, which will last for 25 years. I guess I could take it, but I could also just wait for a little bit. What's going to end up happening with Hungary, you can see here that my heir is currently also their heir. And the result of that means that once this guy gets to the age of 15, which will happen in the next 9 years, so 1455, they will get an event and they can choose to either become my personal union peacefully or not, at which point I go ahead and take this and I just conquer them. So the question is, do we try to force these guys into a personal union right now, or do we wait for a little bit? And that's a great question. Who are they allied to? They're allied to Volgast. I don't care about that. Honestly, this is an easy enough war. We could just go for it. And technically speaking, if we're really fast... Ah, dang it. I was hoping Wallachia was allied to Byzantium, because if I take Hungary and they've got a claim, maybe we could find a way to go to war against Byzantium and try to take them away from the Ottomans before it's too late, and we can prevent them from growing very quickly. That would have been awesome. Honestly, because it's been less than 2 years since I started the game, I'm now very tempted to say, let's just go ahead and kill Hungary. I mean, they can't even be that strong, and I've got lots of allies ready to go. But we've got great relations, because I've been improving with them accidentally. I don't know. I mean, get a CB and I'll bet you they don't like me so much. What can I do? What can I do? Can I rival Hungary? I can. Now see, that is so very good, because that means we're gonna burn those relations right down, which is what I was shooting for. So now we have good relations, but if I send these guys an insult, that should get tanked, and now we can take these guys on without losing any stability. Beautiful. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call in some buddies. I don't even have to. I could call in some buddies. I guess I'll call in some buddies just to make this easier. I gotta wait until next month though. Let's make sure we also improve relations with Bohemia. This is very important. If you have a personal union with a nation, and you have negative relations below 0, right? Even if it's just -1, and your leader dies, the personal union breaks off. So it's absolutely critical. Whenever you have a personal union, always stay in positive relations. Always, 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 no exceptions. Saxony is very angry with me because I didn't give them land when I promised it. That's fine. Honestly, you are already rivaled to Brandenburg, who is a better long-term ally for me right now anyway. So, yeah, that's fine. The only thing that makes me sad is that we have these royal ties, which I can't break, so it's going to take up a relationship slot for a bit. But I got everything I want out of you, so I don't care. That's fine. Go away. Just waiting until June 7th. That's June 7th. All right, let's go ahead and declare this war. Restoration of the Union. Now, the downside of this is that we're going to get a lot of aggressive expansion. Like a lot. It could create a pretty nasty coalition. If you want to play it safe and not have an aggressive coalition, then you don't do this. You wait until 1455 and you just go ahead and do other things like, let's say, fight Venice. Perfectly reasonable way to do things. Because I was so fast with Bohemia, I feel like I've got a good chance of being able to take down Hungary, and I'll be so strong that I don't think a coalition is going to be a major threat. That said, I'm taking it very seriously. We are going to be micromanaging a lot of different relations and trying to prevent any of these coalitions from getting too strong here. So let's improve relations with lots of neighbors. By the way, I do believe, yep, there's another gold mine in Hungary over here. If we want to seize this for ourselves too, and actually Trenton over here would be convenient to own too because it's a very good defensive spot we can use against Poland. Yeah, owning 3 gold mines would be pretty awesome. Not gonna lie, that'd be great. Now, before we really commit too much more to this war, what other things should we go ahead and rebalance a little bit? So first off, I don't think we need all of our alliances. We're going to be able to dissolve ourselves against, let's say, Trier. Don't think I care too much about them anymore. We're already lost the one with Saxony, so that's fine. That leaves me Brandenburg, the Palatinate, and Cologne. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Bohemia will vote for me because they are my vassals, so that's going to happen. So as long as I have 4 votes, that would... Well, I see the Palatinate's voting for itself. See, and that's a bit of a problem. I have to make sure, somehow, that I'm always going to be getting re-elected. No exceptions. There was something introduced, I think, with Line of the North, where, yep, you can usurp an electorate. So we can take that slot away from Bohemia, and I'll always vote for myself that way. That's not a bad plan. Not something we want to do when Bohemia already dislikes you, because again, if I die, we lose Bohemia, and that's a problem. But later, that's going to be a very good choice. Anyway, what I was thinking is we probably should go ahead and start developing something like this gold mine and stuff. So in Tyrol, let's go ahead and use the local development cost edict, make it cheap, and let's go ahead and start boosting up my gold production. That's as much as I can get it. I want to get up to level 10. That's kind of the sweet spot as far as gold, but it's going to start producing a lot of extra money that way. That's fantastic. The production's gone up quite a lot. And I have, by the way, pulled my leader off from being a general, even with those siege pips, because the increased risk of dying just isn't worth it to me, because if he does, then we lose Bohemia after all this effort to get Bohemia. That would suck in so many ways, so we're not going to worry about that. Of course, Bohemia and their vassals are sitting here just glowering at me. They're not going to be helpful for a little bit. And, like, fair enough, they do dislike me, but if we can get their liberty desire below 50%, which will happen in just a bit, that's not going to be that bad. One fun thing about playing as Austria is we do get a unique government type called Austrian Archduchy, which does reduce the liberty desire from subjects by 30%, well, rather their development, the development contribution. Obviously very strong when you're going to have a lot of huge personal unions, so this is going to make it a little bit easier for me to hold on to things like Bohemia and Hungary. And the Ottomans just declared war on Byzantium. Dang. All right. Well, it would have been really awesome to take Constantinople before they could have taken this. Obviously, the Ottomans are big and scary, and they're probably going to be my primary threat throughout this entire campaign. But, yeah, alas, I don't think there's much we can do about that. Oh, well, would have been cool. There's the Siege of Pest done. Excellent. All right, we're done with that sucker. Who else are we at war with again? Right, Vulgas and Croatia. I guess we could go siege down the capital of Croatia, and that would be worth a fair hunk of war score, though they are currently sieging down my allies, which admittedly is going to be a little bit of a pain, but whatever, it's not a big deal. We also have the Hunter relations with the Pope, so we finished that. Excellent, that's extra papal influence for me. Allying the Pope actually wouldn't be a bad idea later on, but not a top priority. Oh man, I forgot that we added all this extra music in here, by the way. This thing always is just a banger. Love this song, so good. Let's go ahead and attack Hungary over here, make sure that they do not take the capital of the Palatinate, and they are sending in reinforcements. Okay, this actually is kind of hurting. Hold on, their superior general is crushing me. Retreat! Okay, that is 70% war score right there. Let's take a quick look and see what would happen if I did the union with the Hungary and also took these 2 provinces. The coalition's kind of big, not gonna lie, it's kind of big. I don't like this, but it's probably worth it. If I wait until right before, like, December, we'll knock off a few places, like Münster, Dortmund, Lucca, Bremen, Ragusa, and places like that. Then I just have to sit around and just try to make other people leave me alone. But the thing is, if I can then immediately grab myself an ally with, let's say, Castile, which they would happily accept, as long as I have enough forces on my side, even if coalition forms, they probably won't do anything to me. The only thing that becomes really inconvenient is if Venice decides they join the coalition, and then I can't do anything to them. That would be truly inconvenient. So what I'm going to do is pull back 2 diplomats, so I'm in a good position to deal with this. And we're going to go ahead and get close to... Mostly just want to scare these guys off. I don't want them to even siege this, but I don't want to kill them either, because I want Hungary to have a few troops. It'll help me later. I'm gonna wait until we're getting closer to December. And then I'm going to go ahead and accept that the coalition might fire, and that's fine. All right, so like right now is probably an okay time to do it. Let's go ahead and do this. We're going to take these provinces. I'm going to get the personal union. We'll end up getting Croatia as well. I'll take whatever cash I can, which is admittedly not a ton, but that's fine. And boom, Hungary is now mine. And then before that has a chance of going anywhere, Castile, please ally me, thank you. All right, so we picked that all up. So now we're looking pretty good, and then as far as missions, we can do Royal Hungary, which gives me national manpower for 15 years, plus a whole bunch of claims, which I can then use to go over here to Venice and say I can't do anything yet here. I have to wait until January, that's fine. I also just got an achievement, the penny is mightier than the sword, because I have 3 personal unions at the same time. Yeah, Croatia counts as one of those. Well, what do you know? That's just fun. And we had just enough admin power to actually get those things cored up. We just became a world power, or a great power. That's great, we're number 5, actually. All right, not bad, not bad. That means we're gonna have a lot of power projection we can work with. Not interested in this whole usurping business. So, conquest, yes, I do want to do this. And my troops are actually already in position, and before Venice has a chance at doing anything, this would make sense. So, yeah, let's go ahead and declare war against Venice. We can call Trier in for good measure against this. Fight against the Knights and Savoy. Savoy's not worth co-belligerizing, but the rest of this is completely fine. So now we're at war with Venice. Do you see what I mean about, like, this has been non-stop action? We are 5 years into the game. I have already increased my power to the point where I now have Bohemia, Glasgow, Opole, Hungary, Croatia, all directly under my control. We have 2 more gold mines. I'm about to go take on Venice and force them to release a bunch of nations and give me some important trade power provinces so we can get more money in the Venetian trade node. And once we have all of that, we'll be in good shape. I just have to survive this first potential coalition, but having all of this on my side, plus having Castile as an ally, I think we're going to be completely fine. All right, good place to end this first episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure to hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.